Okay, seen a lot of videos on the 2005 Corvette. I have one, and I had a major problem, would not crank, and I have been all over this car working on this thing, replaced the starter, pulled out the ignition switch to see if it was that, and tested it. No luck. So I went into the fuse box and looked at the crank relay, and I was able to, I created this crank tester. Let me see if I can find it. Anyways, I took a relay and cut out the top and made it a test relay to just manually get to some pins to be able to test to see what was happening when I would hit the ignition button, and determined that it was working fine to the ignition. So I eliminated the ignition switch. A lot of people have talked about this unit having bad connections. So I lifted this thing out and tested continuity all the way through to the bottom. So I had good connection all the way through that. So I knew the problem was not that. And so, by the way, this is not easy to take apart. I've taken the battery out and checked the ground underneath here, and it was not that. So then I went to to see if I was getting connection down to the ECM, which is buried behind the wheel well. And I'm gonna see if I can get a flash light in here, or light on here, so you guys can see what's going on. So the ECM is actually back there. 3 connectors. C1, which happens to be this here with all the wires running out of it, is the one that handles the crank relay, and it is pin number, I can't have my glasses on. It's this pin right here, I believe. Anyways, so ended up being that I was not getting good connection to this from this pin into this connector into the ECM. So I really found the problem. It was a bad connection from the ECM to this connector. And this is a micro Delphi 54 pin. I could not find this thing anywhere on any videos. I've seen a lot of similar videos, but not exactly this one. This connector is a pain. I tried using depinning tools to pop the bad pin out. I had no luck at all, no luck. I tried many things. Got a whole set of new pins. So I separated this piece from this piece, replaced the pin, and then couldn't get these two pieces back together. I don't care what I tried. These pins would not line up in here. So I could not get that back together. Now, somebody else better than me may be able to figure that out. I spent a lot of time trying to get that to work. What happened was, as I'd put them in, half these pins would push back out of the connector. And I thought, this is not going to be good. This is bad. So I abandoned this, and the only thing I knew what to do was get a new connector. So I got a new connector with pigtails, and I went through the pain of one by one reconnecting all those pins to the wiring. And I followed the guidelines of everybody saying you got to use crimp and you cannot solder. So I did that. Still got to do some work, clean up here. So the car now does start. So that in fact was the problem. And just kind of heads up that, again, I never had seen this problem from anybody that showed all their different issues. And again, this connector here, I had a heck time finding this one too. I found it through a company called EF Connectors, and they had this connector with the pigtails, which was really important because I did not want to try to mess around with depenning or pinning again because I couldn't get it out. Unfortunately, I had two pins that didn't have wire in it, and so I took the wire out of the old connector and put two pins in there. Unfortunately, I was able to get them in. The challenge I've had is I can't get those silly things removed, but it starts, and now I've got to figure out how to clean this mess up and take my time. I'm going to heat up all these and clean them up, seal them up properly with the insulation tape, and start buttoning this thing back up. So anyways, just wanted to share this because, again, I had not seen anybody showing this particular problem that I was dealing with. And maybe it's one of these problems that nobody else is going to deal with, but yeah, so good luck. Oh, by the way, here's what I did is I took this particular relay, took off the top and added these two wires, and I used this I used my light tester to basically, you know, as I would hit the ignition switch, then I could really tell for sure what was happening and what wasn't happening. And then this really was a lifesaver. So, you know, you can order these relays on Amazon pretty cheap, so it was no big deal cutting this one open and turning it into a test for myself. So yeah, for sure this was a big deal to help me isolate it down to the ECM. So it wasn't that difficult to do. Just had to solder, just had to be careful and solder these on. And yeah, that's how I isolated the problem. So anyways, there you go. Hope that helps.